Hi everybody, I am Preeti Vasudevan and welcome to Home Sessions with Silkroad. I'm one of the artists amongst many of us who are during this period of the coronavirus and the pandemic trying to reach out and share stories of comfort, of empathy, of suffering, of grief, of all the human emotions that we've been going through recently. So today I thought I would share with you two stories. And one of the stories is about how small things really matter. When people are going through problems and troubles, even the smallest of creatures and smallest of human beings can make a big, big difference to solving the biggest of problems. And this story I heard when I was a very, very small child, and now I've passed it on to my daughter, and she loves the story. So the story is this. How did the Indian squirrel get 3 stripes on its back? Now, if you go to India or have been to India, you've seen squirrels in India that look a bit like American chipmunks. Now, we show squirrels like this, and they have a little bit of a bushy tail that moves, and they're very sweet and very smart. Now, a long, long time ago, a young prince called Rama and his brother and his wife, Sita, they all were banished to the forest by their father because he had to fulfill a promise to one of his wives. And the promise was this, that she wanted her son to be the king. So off they went into the forest, 3 of them. As they walked through the forest and went everywhere, they built a little house for themselves and lived there happily. But one day, a king from another country called Ravana, who had 10 heads, came disguised as an old mendicant and asked Sita for some food when the 2 brothers were away. She took pity on him and gave him some food. And no sooner had she given her hand towards him, he grabbed her hand and he kidnapped her, and they flew into the sky far away into his country. Now, these 2 brothers came back and they found that Sita was missing. Where did Sita go? And Rama was so upset because Sita was everything to him. His entire love, his heart, his compassion, his mind. And he became very upset and very depressed. So these 2 brothers, Rama and his brother Lakshmana, decided to go hunt and search for Sita in this big, big forest. Now, as they wandered through the forest, they found a whole bunch of monkeys. You guessed it. And these monkeys were everywhere, on top of the trees, foraging in the shrubs, and they all looked at Rama curiously. What is he doing in our land? What is he doing here? And these 2 men, look how lovely they look. But why are they here? As monkeys do, very curious. And this is how we hold monkey in my dance form, which comes from India, with our hands down like this and our faces making this very curious look. Now these monkeys, with their leader, decided to help Rama. And so they found out that Sita was far away in a small little island called Sri Lanka. And in that island, she was sitting in a beautiful garden, all alone, very sad, hoping and praying that Rama would come and rescue her. Now, how to go to that island? There is this big sea that they have to cross, and there are no bridges. Then they had an idea that they would build this bridge for Rama, and they would cross as an army and fight this 10-headed king called Ravana and rescue Sita. But there were no sticks or big trees that they could just haul and cut because they were just a bunch of monkeys. What do? Then one of them looked at a big stone, a big boulder, and he decided to carry it and he carried it on top of his head, and then he chucked it into the water. But lo and behold, that rock started to float on the water. And the water was moving, and this rock was staying afloat on the water. What a miracle! So all the monkeys started carrying big, big boulders and really tossing them into the large waters. And a bridge could be built. But there's a problem. These big rocks were all a little far apart from each other. So how do you jump from one rock to the other? And the monkeys started to quarrel and fight and try to get on top of each other and try to throw more rocks. And it was just a big mess. At this time, there came a little squirrel. And the squirrel looked around and said, "Oh, maybe I can help Rama." And the squirrel immediately took a lot of little pebbles in its mouth and went to the waters and started spitting out these rocks. Now, these rocks went in between the big rocks and lodged themselves, holding the big rocks together. But did these monkeys see that? No. They were too busy fighting, thinking they were the best. So they looked at the squirrel and says, "Ha! Look at you. You are so small. How can you possibly help? Go away. Let us do our big job." The squirrel got very scared. These terrible monkeys. Oh, and the squirrel felt very sad and started walking away. Now Rama was watching all this. So he took the squirrel in his hands and he placed the squirrel on the palm of his hand and asked the squirrel to tell him what happened. And as the squirrel spoke, Rama heard with a smile and started stroking the squirrel with his 3 fingers. And as he stroked, 3 beautiful silver lines started to form on the squirrel's back. And the monkey saw this and thought, "Oh my God, that squirrel must be somebody special. So maybe we should go and talk to the squirrel and beg Rama for forgiveness." And so the monkeys went to Rama and sat by his feet and paid attention to him as Rama spoke. And he said, "You listen, all of you monkeys who are helping me to get my Sita back. I thank all of you. And all of you are very, very courageous and very brave. However, do not forget that the bravest amongst us are sometimes the smallest of people. We need them as much as they need us. But without them, we will not be able to band together." And so he showed them the squirrel, who now had the beautiful 3 stripes that Rama gave. And the squirrel happily helped all the monkeys bring the big stones together to build the bridge over which Rama walked and eventually won the war against Ravana, bringing his wife Sita back safely. So I hope you enjoyed the story. It's really one of my favorites. And I always look at squirrels in India with this beautiful story in mind, that they have such a little precious gift to give us. And just the same way, when we look at nature around us, I would like to encourage us to believe that nature is here to help us. And we are here to understand nature as being equal and sometimes being even more important than us. And knowing that every little thing that nature gives us is like the squirrel with the pebbles, putting all the rocks together and making our life more compact and more together rather than apart. I hope you really enjoyed the story. This story is from one of the biggest epics of India called the Ramayana, which is the story of the young prince Rama, written a long, long time ago. Now, I have another story to share with you today. This one is something that is an absolute favorite of everybody who knows about India, and it's elephant-headed god Ganesha. You see his trunk over here and his ears as he moves his head. He flaps it around. Now Ganesha is the son of Shiva, the god of destruction, and also the god of dance, the kind of dance I do. And his wife Parvati is the mother of all the humans and creatures that we know of in Indian mythology. Now, Ganesha also has a brother who rides the peacock. His name is Muruga. He is very proud and he is very good looking and he just is a charmer. Now, but Ganesha has the head of an elephant and the body of a human, and he's quite short. And Ganesha has a weakness. He loves to eat, and he loves to eat sweet things, just like all kids everywhere. Now, just like Muruga, his brother, rides the peacock, Ganesha rides on another animal, a mouse. Now, you've seen this gesture before. I used this for a squirrel. Now, I can use the same gesture to denote a mouse, but if I move the mouse a little slowly like this or sudden moves like this, you might see him as a mouse rather than a squirrel with a bushy tail. This little mouse had to have this Ganesha sit on him, and Ganesha was quite heavy because he kept eating a lot. So one day, one of the gods, the god of wealth and prosperity, called Kubera, he carries this pot of gold with him, and he protects it. He invited Ganesha for a meal. So these two dined and had a good time. Ganesha ate so much food that he could hardly walk. And then when he had to get home, he sat on his mouse, and the mouse suffered a bit and started moving very, very, very slowly along the road to Ganesha's house. Now, during this time, a snake appeared, and the snake lifted its hood, and the mouse squeaked, turned, and ran away. What happened to Ganesha? Ganesha tumbled over and fell to the ground. And as he fell, all the food he had eaten popped out of his stomach and were littered everywhere. Ganesha did not want to waste his food, so he started gathering all his food and pushed it back into his stomach, and he looked at the snake and he grabbed the snake and he tied it around his belly to hold his belly together. Suddenly, he heard some noises. Sounded like somebody was laughing. And Ganesha looked around and he saw the moon, bright and clear and clean and round, looking at Ganesha and laughing away, saying, "I've never seen such a comical sight. Oh, you're so silly. Look at your fat belly and that serpent, and you cannot stop eating. You are so funny," said the moon. Ganesha grew very angry, and he thought, wait, I'm going to teach that moon a lesson. And so he took his right tusk, he broke his tusk, and he hurled it at the moon. The moon was struck by his tusk, and then there became a scar on the moon. That is the crater on the moon that you see when you see a full moon. Now, the moon stopped laughing and got very upset and asked Ganesha for forgiveness. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was being very insensitive." So Ganesha looked at the moon and said, "All right, you've been shining nice and bright for 365 days a year. But now you shall wax and wane, and you shall disappear one night and then slowly reappear like the crescent and slowly open up into half moon and then become the full moon that people can see. However, on my birthday, if anyone sees you, O moon, they will be cursed, for they will be dishonored by society just the way you tried to mock me." So in India, on Ganesha's birthday, people don't see the moon because they don't want the curse of Ganesha on them. After all, Ganesha is the remover of obstacles. He creates the path for all the lovely things in life. So now we know how Ganesha lost one of his tusks and how we see the crater on the moon. Now, there are many stories like that about how he lost his tusk, but I thought maybe this one was a really, really great one, as nowadays we're all looking at this beautiful clear sky, at the beautiful moon, and all the shapes and figures on the moon. So I hope you enjoyed these two stories that I shared with you today, of the little squirrel that got 3 stripes, and about Ganesha, the elephant-headed god from India, who broke his right tusk and chucked it far and out at the moon to tell the moon to stop laughing at him. Now, all these gestures I use are from my hands, just like you. So you can also storytell just like me. Have you ever thought about finding out what stories are there in your culture? And what stories do your grandparents tell you? Or let's put it another way. If you want to be a storyteller, can you write a story and see how you can use your faces and your hands to tell a story to someone near you, a friend? And just like I am, take your iPhone or your smartphone and just make a little movie and send it to them and share with them what you're going through. What is important to you at this point about your culture, your family, and ask them about theirs too. You never know, you might be sharing a gesture or two. Maybe you'll take some things from them, and maybe you'll change the way your face looks as an actor does. And these are multiple ways of telling stories. Mine is from India. It's from a classical dance theatre form called Bharatanatyam. It has an ancient history of how to use the face, the eyebrows, the eyes, the neck, all different parts of the face, and then the hands to tell you more meanings. Just like the mouse, just like Ganesha, just like the trunk, just like Rama, just like the monkeys, curious monkeys. You can make up your own stories about nature and humans and come together to bring us all feeling like we're one community and not feeling so alone and isolated. So enjoy, share, and I really, really hope to see you all soon sometime. Bye-bye.